Happy holidays! And since it is the gift-giving season, Blake got all of you a present.
I did. I got you something nice in here. Let's check it out. Oh, it's 5 unique decks in the standard format because I know you want to see some new stuff.
Check it out.
Greetings, Goblins and Geist.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Blake.
And this video is a little bit different than what we normally do, and we are excited. We want you to watch, look at these new decks, and comment down below if you want us to play one of these on a Friday.
Absolutely. We tried to do something new for you this week, so I hope you like what we got in store for you. Also, like and subscribe to the channel, please. We're trying to get to 300 subs before the end of the new year, and we'd appreciate that.
Now, stick around for these awesome decks.
Starting things off with the bonus budget deck here, we have Mono Blue Machines. This deck actually made it into a top 8, which is really sick because it is a budget deck, mostly uncommons. A few rares here and there. But the main cool piece of this is mainly artifacts, and we have Spyglass Siren running the Rampage at the very beginning.
Definitely.
Pretty great card, right? Pretty great.
Spyglass Siren, ton of value. You're going to see it a lot in Standard. But yeah, it's a 2-for-1 every time.
Yeah, 2-for-1 is absolutely fantastic. The map token, but being an artifact, getting it right off the bat, super, super powerful.
Yeah, and really the strength, a big strong suit with this deck is going to be Zoetic Glyph. I think it's a big reason why you would want to play any type of brew like this because that map token could be a 5-4.
I absolutely love this card. It reminds me of Ensoul Artifact, but it's better, honestly, with the Discover. Super powerful and returns to be something else.
One more mana matters, but when you can have your threat blown up and it replaces itself with another glyph, really good.
That's incredible.
And so the top end of the deck, not really that expensive, but you got Unctus.
We got Unctus Retrofitter here. This card's a little different and it has Toxic, but the main piece of this is just to slap it down and it be another Zoetic Glyph, where it makes one of your artifacts a 4-4, so that, you know, the Spyglass Siren's Explore token is now a 4-4 that just smacks you in the face. Didn't see that coming.
Didn't see that coming. There's all kinds of value with this deck. There's tricks in the deck, so definitely a fun option. And like you've asked for, this is a budget option. If you don't have a ton of rares on your account, you can have this deck.
Check it out. Here's the sideboard for you guys. So there's a bunch of low to the ground stuff again. Minor misstep. Almost messed it up.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce, Wash Away, Rona's Vortex, things like that. Shore Up.
No, I actually love this sideboard, Blake. This is just all super efficient interaction.
It really is, and it's really helpful to have it be so low to the curve, especially with the early game stuff.
Definitely. So this is a fun one. Now, stay tuned for the top 5. Coming in at number 5, this is a very awesome 5-color humans. But wait, we do have Skrelv, the only non-human in the deck. But hey, it's a legendary creature. It is a nod to the old forgotten Mother of Runes. Very powerful, protect your creatures. But I mean, look at all this money that this deck is. Look at all these colors.
Yeah, this is a human money pile right here, and they're all legends too, so we'll talk about that as well in a second. Looking at Gwenna here, Gwenna is going to be your little curve creature. The second you get this out, you pretty much can cast anything else. A lot of the deck has like multiple colors, so she's the way to get them out.
Absolutely.
She also doesn't hurt to have a little bit of better abilities at the bottom.
Yeah, no, I mean, the fixing is surprisingly good with this deck and with Gwenna, and you need it to be because you're trying to cast Jodah the Unifier. Truth be told, if you're casting this, you're already probably winning the game. This is an insane payoff for being the 5-color humans, but there's just a lot of cool synergies to this deck.
Yeah, shout out to Dejuru and Hazaret in this one. This is a really cool haste card if you actually have it.
Totally.
And you typically will because you're just going to throw things down as fast as you can to beat your opponent's face in. I love this deck, and I love that we actually have Cavern of Souls in it and the really cool lands like Plaza Hero and Secluded Courtyard. They're so good.
Yeah, these gold lands are just so talented in this, and yeah, really fun build. If you have the cards for this, totally make this. We'll give you a peek at the sideboard. You have plenty of options there, but you got strong things, you know, Invasion of Gobakhan. Lauren makes sense with the deck, right?
Yep, and you're going to have the hate with the Surge of Salvation and the Lithomatic Barrage.
Definitely.
All right, popping things off here with number 4, we have Naya tokens. This is a really unique version of tokens. It's not running your typical instants and sorceries that make them. It's running creatures that make them. Like cards like Inti, though, will help you get the cards you need, and it's like a cycler for you there. It'll help put +1/+1 counters on the creatures you have, so they get bigger. It's just a really, really good card, and that's why you run 4 of them, even though it's legendary.
Yeah, this card stands on its own despite being in the token build. But again, as Blake's alluding to, being able to discard cards and exile the top to get free casts, you are going to be able to filter through your deck. Now, a staple of this deck is NM Pakal, the 1000th Moon. And this actually, like Blake also said, is how you're generating some of your tokens, because this is going to make a bunch of gnomes.
It makes a ton of gnomes, and they all get +1/+1 counters. It's just really, really powerful. Also, Wildwood Mentor, shout out to him, because every time you make a token, you're going to get +1/+1 counters on him too.
Yeah.
They're going to be everywhere. It's going to be great.
They're going to be everywhere. And speaking of the token payoffs, like your Wildwood Mentor, this would not be complete Naya without the Naya himself.
Yeah, good old Jetmir, man. Nexus of Rebels right here is an absolute beater. So the second you play him, if you have a board of creatures, you just win. Like, how do you deal with all that?
Yeah, all the payoffs here. I mean, you really probably only need like 3 creatures to where your like opponent is just totally behind. Blake did want to shout out the mana base, because you got a lot of untapped lands.
Yeah, you do.
For a price, but you got a lot of untapped lands.
The price is your life.
The price is your life.
This is the mobster deck, man.
Yeah, so this is definitely a very cool build. You're not going to see a ton of this, I don't think, on the ladder, but you definitely want to play it. Blake and I actually specifically cultivated the sideboard for you. Of course, you're going to play things like Surge of Salvation.
Yeah, it's too good you have to run it.
Yeah.
You could even consider running another one. We have 3 in here already.
Yeah, and another one that's definitely just like, no question, you would definitely want Sunset Revelry.
Yep.
You may not always get the 2 tokens, but against control, you're going to draw cards, and against mono red, you gain life.
So you'll be safe with that one. And you also have cards like King Darren to give you a little bit more damage when you need it. And things like Jagan and Sigarda are also very helpful.
Absolutely. Checking in at number 3, we have a new take on a mid-range deck, Selesnya Midrange.
This is such a cool deck to me. I love like little sub-themes of +1/+1 counters, so this deck has a ton of them.
This deck has a ton of them. Now, what are the main kind of cards that, regardless of the +1/+1 counters, you can just stand the back on? Sentinel of the Nameless City, you're already seeing this, I think, a ton in Standard. Goodness gracious, if you saw it in Limited, you definitely got annoyed with the card. But it's very powerful, because that's not just one map token. That's whenever it attacks, and it happens to have Vigilance.
It does happen to have Vigilance, and this card's going to get absolutely massive, especially with this deck. If you take a look at cards like Dusk Legion Duelist, it also powers up with +1/+1 counters and allows you to draw every time it happens.
Yep.
Now, if you take a look at all the +1/+1 counters in this deck, you're going to be very surprised, because there's a ton. You got Homestead Courage, you got Teachers of the Kirin,
Yep.
you got Wandering Emperor, you got Sarah Redeemer. There's so many different ways to get +1/+1 counters on your creatures. You even have Virtual Loyalty. Got to mention that card as well.
Definitely.
And I had to shout out to Elschnorn as my Phyrexian friend. She has that wonderful tax that they have to pay if they hurt your stuff. So love that too.
Yeah, any deck that can maximize something like Virtue of Loyalty too, which is already a broken card, very powerful. The mana base is going to be fairly straightforward. You're going to get to take advantage of running like a Mirix and a Mishra's Foundry, Restless Prairie. And we did cultivate the sideboard for you. Just a lot of interaction.
Yeah, really cool stuff here. We got Depopulate, Get Lost, Destroy Evil. A lot of white removal stuff right off the bat. Also, got to keep it up with the Sunset Revelry. That card just keeps you alive.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Actually, I have to give a major shout out to one of my new favorite green cards. I guess it's not that new anymore, but Tranquil Frillback.
Hey,
man.
we have played the Frillback before, and this card's flexibility gives it an A in our book as a sideboard card. Really cool, really flexible. But yeah, if you like a mid-range deck, check this one out.
Coming in at number 2, we have my personal favorite deck, Dimir Descend. I love any graveyard synergy stuff, and we have Stalactite Stalker popping off really quickly with the early game Menace, and he grows huge very, very fast.
Yeah, this card is strong enough to where people are playing it in older formats, so you got to take notice, and, bonus, its art's pretty cool.
Super cool little goblin. He looks blind, but he still does the job. Moving on to the next card here, we have the Ancient One, also a Descend mechanic here. This one's really, really powerful, and it pops off quick, dude. This damage will hit really hard if they have nothing to stop it.
Yeah, when you look at this deck from a big picture, Blake, I think that this will enable this pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think you can get it really, really fast, especially with cards like Subterranean Schooner.
Yes.
And another really cool tech piece, the Ever-Flowing Well, man.
Yeah.
Descend 8, that's a little bit thick, but I think you can get to it pretty quickly with its own ability.
Yeah, you're able to mill yourself, but what I love about this deck too, Blake, is there's a lot of cards in here that just stand on their own. You mentioned the Schooner, Deep Cavern Bats all over Standard. Tashana's Tiebinder is super strong and can interact with your opponent. And then, like you liked as well, the late game, I mean, this also helps your strategy.
Yeah, you have Jace to help you mill yourself. You get Invasion to Innistrad to destroy your opponent's creatures and make zombies. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be upset with the Urtai in the deck. It's just a powerful card.
Not at all. And if the game happens to go long enough, if you didn't beat them with your Ancient One fast enough, you might actually just cast Virtue Persistence and take over the whole game.
You really, really will. And if you take a look at the old little mana base here, you have the Restless Reef as well. Which
Yeah.
I got to give shout out to that card too. Really cool. It helps with the Descend mechanic.
It helps with Descend with the mill yourself, but I love all the new man lands as an aside.
Yeah.
We'll show you the sideboard briefly. Pretty flexible. Blue and black are just going to have a lot of good options.
Yeah, you got Souls of the Lost to start you off here with more aggro. Hullbreaker Horror and Mirror Shell Crab against control. Very super, super good cards.
Definitely. And if you have somebody like flooding the board, a couple of blast zones are in here, invasions are in here. So yeah, you kind of cover all your bases. Really cool deck. Blake's definitely going to be testing it. Let us know if you want us to make a whole video about it. Coming in hot at number 1, is it Convoke?
It is!
Absolutely it is. And we're talking about getting huge spell payoffs by going wide with tokens. So we got to find out how we're going to do that. I think one effective way would be Gleeful Demolition.
This card's fantastic. Getting 3 1/1s right at the beginning of the game. So powerful. And you have easy ways to do it.
You do have easy ways to do it. I mean, you could throw a blood token away, get value with Synthesizer, so you have targets. But what are some other ways that we can get tokens in this deck?
Well, you have multiple other ways. You have Rouse Reinforcements, getting 2 little elementals easy. You also have Baral and Carry Zev, getting the Ragavan tokens also good. But my personal favorite is going to be the Invasion of Segovia. This little serpent, legendary serpent, right?
Yeah.
He has the ability to give all your spells Convoked, so you get an early game Chandra this way. Also, you untap your creatures, 4 creatures, every instap, which is huge for the Convoke spells, and you'll see those in just a second.
Huge for the Convoke spells. You get these little Kraken tokens, by the way. This card is just like A+ in this deck. You're going to get a ton of payoffs. You can see them right here. I mean, Artistic Refusal, the list goes on, but the most notable of them, Stoke the Flames.
Stoke the Flames, 4 damage to the face, too good.
This was a reprint, of course, in March, and it's just been so good ever since it came out. It's excellent. So the mana base is going to be powerful. I guess only notable thing is you're going to play 2 Myrics, just because these can also help you create tokens later.
The token generation in this deck is surprising with just being blue and red. I also got a shout out to how many cards you're going to draw with Transcendent Message and Meeting of the Minds. So many good draws.
Yeah. So you do have a lot of ways to refill once you flood the board. We felt really a standout deck. Your sideboard, being that you're blue and red, you're going to have cards you would imagine that you would see, right? But there are some interesting ones. We had to look back and see what Lantern of the Lost was.
Lantern of the Lost confused me for a second. I also got a shout out to Urabrask there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't say his name right, but that card's crazy.
That card's crazy, and it's probably pretty good in this deck. So if you had a fun time with this video, we certainly did. We ask that you tell us which of these decks you want us to play, and like this video if you want to see more like it.